Si trabaja bajo el sol, proteja sus ojos usando gafas que bloquean los rayos ultravioletas del sol. Estos también reducen el riesgo de desarrollar carnosidad en los ojos. Mensaje de un programa de Gallagher de la Universidad de California.
You're listening to KBBF Community Radio 89.1 FM, Calistoga, Santa Rosa.
Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM, Radio Cultura, Calistoga, Santa Rosa.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show. LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaya Kramer, and I am joined, as always, with my co-host, Mandy Howard.
And we just got into.
Yeah. So we have, so when I say LGBT, I mean lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
LGBTQIA, IAA, QQIA, lots of letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we're certainly trying to move forward and spread some more information out there for you. But we have a really great interview for you tonight, one that I'm actually really excited to share with you all. It's our interview with Kellie F. Maloney. She is a trans woman in the UK, formerly Frank Maloney, and formerly UK boxing promoter for Lennox Lewis.
One of the biggest boxing promoters.
Yeah. And Lennox Lewis is the undisputed boxing champion of the world. And I'm just really, really, really excited to share this with you. And so this interview is pre-recorded, but we will be standing by in the studio. So if you have any questions at all for us, you can give us a call at any point tonight. Give us a call 707-545-0318. That number again is 707-545-0318. This radio show is also available via live video stream. Yes, I said live video stream because we have the technologies of the interwebs. And
is that the official name? Interwebs?
It's the official name of the interwebs. It's a series of tubes, as they say.
It's was it diodes or
blinking lights?
The big bulbs, right? That's what it is. It's a bunch of those.
Yeah, and so this is kind of a continuation of kind of our martial arts fighting athletic kind of spree that we've been going on here.
Well, after we had Fallon Fox on last week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was great. And so if you'd like to check out any of our previous episodes, or you want to watch this one live, check out the link on thequeerlife.org. Also, too, you can just go. We have a Facebook page with all the links to the direct YouTube stuff. You can go to facebook.com/ you guessed it, The Queer Life. Also, feel free to tweet us at The Queer Life as well for any questions. I'll be monitoring that as we go, too. So all this stuff is made available online. All of it's archived online. All of it's being streamed online. All of it's kind of being perpetuated via all the social media platforms, although we're not.
You seem extremely excited to be streaming everything.
Yes, I'm so excited. But
so are we doing pre-recorded interviews now so we don't have to do anything here in the studio while it's playing?
Yeah, so we can chill out a little bit here.
I forgot to bring my video games.
It's okay. I'll bring a DS or something. But anyhow, I do want to get underway with this interview, and if you are listening, if you're just tuning in right now to KBBF 89.1 FM, we were just off the air, the radio station portion of this.
Went off just before the show?
Yes. And oh my gosh, it's we're having kind of like a crazy rainstorm right now out here in Sonoma County, which is in the North Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. For our international listeners,
Are we going to start doing weather reports?
we are going to start doing.
How many inches of rain are we expecting?
It's like we need to have the gay news.
The gay weather news?
Yeah, the gay weather news.
How about a gay weather news correspondent?
Gay weather. But it's all good stuff here. But I want to queue up the interview here. I don't want to belabor it any longer.
How long is it?
It's about 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Yes. I mean, oh, that's good. Yeah.
Hey. But if you're just tuning in right now on the radio waves, you are listening to KBBF 89.1 FM. This is the Queer Life Radio Show, which airs every Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m., and rebroadcasts every Tuesday night, 9 to 11 p.m. That is LGBT, as in lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. Most episodes will have an interview in there. We actually strive to get to some most, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just us babbling on about random stuff.
Yeah.
Well, queer related.
Random stuff from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be able to share this because we've got a platform to do so.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially as trans women, because there's a lot of queer organizations out there that are gay centric, and the Queer Life, as part of KBBF, is trans-centric.
And why would that be?
Well, your radio hosts here are transgender. I am a trans woman, and Mandy is a trans woman.
Actually, I am a meat popsicle.
A meat popsicle, yes, just like in Minecraft. But this is some good stuff. So please stay tuned for our interview with Kellie Maloney, former UK boxing promoter who came out as trans within the last couple of years. So check it out. We're going to cue it up, play a little bit of music, and off we go. And for those of you just tuning in right now, you are listening to KBBF 89.1 FM Calistoga. All right, hello everybody. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a electronic housey type music that we got going on here.
I thought I was in a club.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the Queer Life Club, But if you're just tuning in right now, you are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. We are going to be airing our interview with Kellie F. Maloney, former boxing promoter of the UK, came out as a trans woman within the last couple of years. And you look like you were going to say something.
I'm still stuck on the queer club.
The Queer Club.
I just wonder if you can tell if it's a transgender club because all the girls are taller than the guys.
Right. That's okay though. But anyhow, this show can be viewed online on thequeerlife.org, and you check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/thequeerlife. Follow us on Twitter @thequeerlife. If you enjoy this programming and any other programming on KBBF, go to kbbf-fm.org and hit the donate link. It's.
I was also going to say that the just like our interview last week with Fallon Fox, Kellie Maloney, she's been all over the news as well. Like pretty much on every venue you can think of, they've talked about her and done interviews, and she's been busy.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely incredible. Really killing it out there. So really excited to be
representing.
Yeah. And like we said, we did Fallon Fox, first transgender MMA fighter. So we want to kind of put some more out there. We come from all different backgrounds. We're not just trans women are not just sissy boys. Contrary to popular conception out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if you have any questions for us, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. The number again, 707-545-0318, or tweet us @thequeerlife, and we'll try to help you as best we can. Although, disclaimer, I will say that we are not doctors, we are not lawyers, we are not mental health professionals, we are not therapists. We're not gurus. We're not gurus.
We're not witch doctors.
I'm not. We're not yoga.
We're not shamans.
We're not yoga instructors.
We're not yoga instructors. Yogis, right?
Yogis. That's right. Yeah.
There's actually, if you think about it, there's a lot of things that we are not.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
we could do a whole show just listening.
Well, you're just doing great, Mandy. You're just doing great.
Asian Betty.
Asian Betty. I brought Mandy to my Bikram studio, and
it was horrible.
It was wonderful.
I'm never going again.
I'm gonna make you.
I'll probably end up going again. But
it's wonderful. So.
It was really hot. Literally.
So hot.
Oh my God, it's so hot.
Anyhow, we're going to get going with this interview for you here. Kellie F. Maloney, please enjoy the interview. Check it out.
All right.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. And this is another remote interview. And today we are interviewing another extremely special guest to me. We're kind of on a athletics binge right now, martial arts. In this particular moment, boxing is the highlighted subject. My guest today is Kellie Maloney, a retired boxing manager and promoter, and United Kingdom Independence Party politician, most notable for managing for giving us an interview on the Queer Life Radio Show.
Thank you for having me on.
So the first question I would like to ask, and I ask this just about everybody who comes on the show, what are your preferred gender pronouns?
I don't really have any, to be honest, because I know a lot of people over the years have known me in different roles, and it's hard for them to come to terms. I personally see myself as a woman. I think of myself as a woman. I do everything that a woman does in her day-to-day life. And that's what, hopefully, I think most people will come to see me and come to respect me as. Some people still mix my gender up and still refer to me as Frank Maloney. And there's been a few issues where I've been interviewed, and the interviewer has referred to me, and people have jumped up and down and caused quite a scene on Twitter and other social networks. But I've always defended that person, because as long as a person's not rude to me, it's a genuine mistake, I accept it. If someone's rude to me, then I can't accept that. It's whatever the individual's comfortable with, and I'm comfortable with my gender as a female, but I know quite a few people in the world have known me as a male, and for them it's very hard to accept me as a female. And time is a great healer, so I just let it take its natural course.
Absolutely. And this was actually a question later down the line for me. I was going to ask you about misgendering, which is a common trans issue that a lot of trans people kind of go home and become very upset about. So it sounds like let me get this straight. So long as people are being, respectful to you, and they make, a valid mistake about gendering, you're okay with that?
Yes, I'm very okay with it. I think it's a matter of you being comfortable with yourself and the image you project. People will warm to that image. I'm very lucky. I don't get misgendered much, other than by people who have known me in my previous life, shall I say, because they've known me as Frank Maloney. But if a stranger meets me, I can honestly put my hand on my heart and say I've never been misgendered yet. I mean, it does help that I'm only 5'2" tall. I'm quite slim, and I've only got size 6 feet and small hands, I suppose. I'm probably very lucky, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, certainly make me look a giant over here.
I didn't mean to say that to upset anybody.
No, it's quite all right. It's just funny because as a Thai transsexual myself, people see my pictures like, oh, this must be a little Thai transsexual woman, and then I meet them and they see this 5'10", 160-pound person. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're bigger than I thought." I'm like, "Well, 5'10" is 5'10", So.
Yeah, I mean, I like it being quite small because I can wear my heels when I go out, and it gives me that little bit of height, and I feel very comfortable. But I think for most transsexuals, we have to come to terms with ourselves and accept ourselves before we can expect anyone else out there in the world to accept us and respect us. If we don't come to terms with ourselves and respect ourselves, we are never going to gain that acceptance and that respect that we look for.
Absolutely. So it sounds like there's been a lot of personal work and personal growth that you've put into yourself and accepting your identity and building that confidence for yourself. What would you say that you've done in order to build that confidence for yourself?
I think I've just been myself. I've always known that I was born in the wrong body. I've always accepted that I've had a gender issue. I tried to fight it all my life. Eventually, when I gave in fighting it, I came to accept myself. It was my very first counsellor I started talking to about 14 years ago now, and they told me, until you actually accept yourself, Kelly, you can't expect anyone else to accept you. And it took me a long time, even with the counselling, to come to accept myself, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I wasn't Frank Maloney. I wasn't this successful boxing promoter that had quite a great lifestyle. I knew by admitting to myself I could possibly lose all this. I could lose my family and friends. But in the end, I had to accept it. And I had to come to terms with it. So I worked very hard on doing that and very hard on accepting it. and very hard on perfecting my female self. Well, really my real self, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's so incredible. I mean, like, boxing is stereotypically a hyper masculine sport.
Yes, it is, and it's sort of stuck on a time warp, to be honest. It's one of the few sports that has, well, it's still basically what it was years ago. It's like two Roman gladiators fighting for survival, fighting for victory, and a lot of the officials in boxing, they're very macho, they're very male orientated, and they're very caveman-like in their opinions. But I have to be honest, it's also a very small community. And when one of them has problems or diversity in their life, the boxing fraternity sort of changed the public image everyone sees them as and become a very close family. I have received some great messages from throughout the world from the boxing fraternity, and from present day boxers. And that really gave me a lot of comfort because I expected the opposite. And I think that's what's also helped me with my transitioning, that the people I expected to sort of shun me and push me to the side and ridicule me haven't done that.
Wow. So it sounds like you've had a great amount of acceptance in terms of your transition and coming out as a trans woman.
Yes, I have. I honestly can put my hand on my heart and say I'm actually amazed at the response from the sporting fraternity, not just the boxing fraternity. Soccer is a very big sport in England, and the amount of soccer players that have contacted me or come out and supported me on radio, in the newspaper, on personal text messages, because I have quite a few friends that are soccer players, have been amazing. And as I say, my own world of boxing, I can't say enough to praise them and thank them for their understanding and their acceptance of me.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. For one, the Football Association in the UK has their own trans exclusion policies. That's soccer for all of us Americans out here.
It's actually growing in America, though, isn't it? It's become a very big sport in America.
Yeah, we're actually starting to catch on to sports other than football. But their policy here is, quote, individuals undergoing gender reassignment after puberty are required to have led the relevant surgical changes completed at least 2 years previously, as well as hormonal therapy for a sufficient length of time to minimize gender-related advantages in football matches. So looks like the Football Association has jumped on and accepted trans athletes there, and so that's incredible that you've had support from them over as well. So I want to ask you a little bit about let's go back into a time machine here and go back in time a little bit. Like, what drew you to boxing as a young person? Like, what was it that inspired you to get into it?
I was bullied at school, and I used to get it. Being small, I was in, and most of the other kids in school sort of went with long pants on, and my mother kept sending me to school in short pants for quite a while. And I got bullied, and I used to get into lots of fights. And our PE teacher, our games master, he took me down the gym and said, if you want to keep fighting, Mr. Maloney, put these on. And threw a pair of boxing gloves at me. And next thing I knew, I took up boxing, and because I knew if I went home to my dad and told him I was getting in fights and things like that, he would just say, well, stand up for yourself. So I went home and said to my dad, oh, Dad, I've taken up boxing at school. And from that moment onwards, he totally encouraged me, and I think that's what pushed me even further into it. And I enjoyed it because it was an individual sport. It was a sport where I didn't depend on other people. I just depended on myself and my dedication. And I was never a great boxer. I was reasonable, but I enjoyed the environment. And as I got older, I realised because of my size that I could never make it in boxing, and I would never go any further. I decided to work in the training aspects of it, and then I became a trainer. Then I moved on to becoming a manager, and then I became a manager promoter, which we are allowed to do in the UK, which you're not allowed to do in the USA.
Oh wow, right. So, you know, with your boxing and getting into the promotion and everything, and I previously stated was, it's kind of a hyper masculine. You refer to it as a fraternity. Do you think getting into boxing and the boxing community was, a response to, perhaps hide your trans identity, or because we've got the story of. I know in my own experience going into martial arts, I had similar reasons, wanting to learn how to defend myself. But, for myself, it was showing that I could, be one of the guys, quote unquote. We have the story of Kristen Beck, who is one of the Navy SEALs, elite, military in the U.S. and just came out as trans. And another example of a trans woman having done hyper masculine activities.
Yeah, they do say that us trans women do go into sort of major masculine roles to hide it. I don't really know. I loved working with people. I always had a touch of an eccentric. I loved being able to be put on events, and it did help me hide it, because it created an image for me. What it felt to me was I was waking up every day, I was putting on this suit, which was a mask, and I was going out in the world and I was performing on a stage. And while I was doing that, I was very preoccupied, and I couldn't really think of anything else, because it was a job it took every minute of my working day up, and it became my life. And but there were nights that I have said that
KBBF radio that motivates profound thoughts in children.
And I would just turn the light out and lay in bed and cry, because I knew.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elaine B. Holt, and I'm the host and producer of a radio show here at KBBF 89.1 FM called Women's Spaces, which is dedicated to ordinary women doing extraordinary things. You can listen to the show every Monday from 11 to 12 noon. Thank you so much for listening.
I don't want another drinking man in my life. I want to feel more fulfilled. Does my happiness depend on whether someone else drinks? My pastor suggested I try Al-Anon family groups, and I'm glad I did. Are you troubled by someone else's drinking? You might be surprised at what you could learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Porque somos la primera estación radio bilingüe en el norte de la bahía. KBBF 89.1 FM, la voz de la comunidad.
Except my other gender, my real gender. I was building this image. I was the sort of darling of the British press. I was winning over the American press, and it was. I was secretly living a double life, really, wasn't I? And I couldn't come to terms with it, because I was probably, for a working class boy from the back streets of London, to live this sort of lifestyle was unbelievable. You know, I left school at 15. I didn't like school. I suffered very badly with dyslexia, so I found it hard to sort of read and write. But I found something that I was excelling at, and I was doing good at, and I was getting the respect of the public and people in the boxing field. And I didn't want to lose that, so I kept working harder and harder at it. But at the same time, I was dealing with my gender issue as well.
Wow. So you were committed to your craft, to your skill, to your passion, but it sounds like in a way that the deeper you got into it, it was almost making it harder for you to admit to yourself that you're a woman, that you're a trans woman.
Yeah, I have. Again, this could upset a lot of trans people, but I have an issue with society putting me in a corner and giving me a title. To me, I'm just a woman that was born in the wrong body, and I'm having it medically corrected by doctors. Now, if I was born with one leg missing or one arm missing, or I returned from action and I'd had an arm or a leg blown off us, and the doctors can correct that today and give you a false arm, one leg, people would say, "Oh, that's great. You can continue to live your life. You can still fulfil certain ambitions in your life." And aren't the medical staff wonderful? Now, all I'm really doing is, with the medical staff, is correcting something that was wrong at birth. So I don't see why I need society to put me in a corner and say that I'm a trans, I am a woman. More so, I am a human being, and I deserve the right, the same as all of us do. All of us trans women, or medically corrected women, as I refer to myself as, the respect and the right of every other human being to go out there, to live the life they want to live, to enjoy their life, to earn a living, and support their nearest and dearest.
Yeah, well, the metaphor you just used, the comparison of a prosthetic leg for a war veteran, and getting reassignment surgery or corrective surgery in the case of perhaps a birth defect. I've even talked to some trans women who jokingly refer to their genitals as a birth defect. And
well, I do. I just think the midwife pulled me out a little bit the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just got the wrong part of my body and pulled me out.
Yeah. So, I mean, which leads me to my next question about gender reassignment surgery. A lot of people are, it's sort of split. There's the group of people who believe that it's medically necessary, and then there's the group of people that think that it's cosmetic. Where do you stand on that?
I'm one of these people who think it's medically necessity. If I didn't have it done, I wouldn't be a complete person. I know they say gender is in the head, and I accept that, because it is not about your sexual orientation. It's about your gender. But I don't want to look in the mirror and see half a female body and half a male body. I want to look in the mirror and see, looking back at myself, is the body that matches my brain and the body I think I wish I was born with.
Wow. So you identify and see yourself along the gender binary. You see yourself as women. And this is interesting, and this is a discussion that I've had with numerous trans people. Because as you know, the language and the terms that we have for trans people, it's kind of too broad to include all of us. And so more labels and more terminology has introduced itself into our queer lexicon. But there's specifically with gender queer people, gender fluid people, there's trans women who wants to be seen and identified as women, but have no desire to undergo, gender reassignment surgery. What has been your response to, gender queer and gender fluid people who, in some ways consider themselves like a third gender or a third sex, as we refer to it in Thailand?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I have a couple of friends that I've met since coming out that they are of the third gender, as they call it. And again, to me, they are human beings. They have the right to live and make the choice of how they want to live. One may not agree with it, but if they're not harming no one, that's their choice. It's for them. I think it's even harder to be accepted in society than it is for a medically corrected woman like myself, or like transsexuals that have the full operation.
Absolutely. I know in your bio you have a gender reassignments early this year. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's been put back a couple of weeks because of the mishap with the facial surgery that I had in November last year. The doctors want to just make sure that my body is completely healed and I'm completely and physically strong enough to go through the 7-hour operation, because I'm having my top and bottom done both at the same time. I don't want to go back in and have one part done and then go back in and have another part done.
Yeah.
Go under the anaesthetic once and have the final pieces of the jigsaw put into the right places.
Well, that'll be convenient. Get it all done. You'll be in a whole lot of pain for a couple of months there, but
yes, I've been told by the doctor that I must expect not to do anything for at least a month. Then I can start very light walking around, and then after 3 months, I should be able to go back in the world and start enjoying myself again.
Yeah. So when is your quote unquote new birthday?
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be March the 18th or the 23rd.
Okay. Wow. Whoa. Wow. So that's funny. My my co-host, her new birthday, and for all those people out there who are wondering what I'm referring to as a new birthday, I'm just talking about the gender reassignment surgery.
I say that to my friends. My friends that don't quite understand what I'm going through, and I say to them, "Oh, do you know what? I'm going to stop celebrating my birthday in January, and we're now going to celebrate in March." And they look at me and say, "Well, how can you do that sort of thing?" I went, because that's when I'm going to be born and complete again, and feeling totally the real me.
Absolutely. So I'll have to send you some "It's a Girl" balloons, and
you'll have to come over and join my party.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll have the cake. It'll be like a new. You've been reborn. Shoot, that's so incredible. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because it's for trans women, and if I might just address our audience for a moment, getting gender reassignment surgery, now being called gender confirmation surgery, it's such a pivotal moment, and the process that we as trans women have to go through is long and arduous, other than all the logistics of having to go through a medical system to be approved for these. You can't just walk into a room one day as a man and then come out as a woman, quote unquote, like a lot of people seem to believe. Kellie, just for my own curiosity, which are you seeing a surgeon in the UK, or are you traveling abroad?
No, I originally was going to go to Thailand because it's slightly different rules and laws there. But after speaking to a number of people and speaking to my family, they asked me if I would consider having my final gender reassignment done in Britain. And I researched and I came across a very good surgeon in Britain. So I'm going to have it done in Britain by Mr. Phil Thomas, who is probably the number one surgeon in Britain for doing it. And I believe he uses the same similar method as the two top Thai doctors that I was looking at.
Yeah, Preacher. Did you
Preacher,
did you get a chance to meet Preacher or?
No, I spoke to him by email.
Okay, yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm looking to contact him at some point. Yeah, there's kind of like the top dogs of gender reassignment, gender confirmation surgery, Preacher, and there's a couple out here in California, Dr. Marcy Bowers, whom a lot of people go out to as well. So
yes, her name has come up to me, and there's a doctor in Canada that people have brought up to me as well.
Yeah,
A friend of mine went to Canada and had an operation done, and she totally swears by the doctor. She said, "Kelly, you should go out here. This doctor is absolutely fantastic." But I don't want to upset my family because they've been so supportive of me, and they want me to have it here so they can visit me in hospital, so that when I come out, I can go and stay with them. And if anything goes wrong or there's any mishaps, everyone's on hand to help me, and they can get me back to the hospital very quick.
Absolutely. Well, that's so important, and that you have the support of your friends and family to be there with you, especially when you're healing. And because I know if when I get my surgery, and I've got a date for mine later this year, I'm gonna want to have my friends and family running off to Panda Express to get me some orange chicken. But no, absolutely incredible. You certainly have our support here at the Queer Life, and my personal support as another trans woman, as another woman to you.
And my thoughts will be with you when you and I hope to know when you're keeping up to date with your own progress as well. It'd be nice to follow it and hear about it.
Absolutely, and certainly will. So, we've talked a little bit about your experience, getting into boxing, a little bit of your professional career, and you're getting your gender confirmation surgery in March, and which is absolutely breathtaking and amazing. What is your family response been to you coming out? And it sounds like you've been getting a lot of support from them as well.
Yes, I've got 3 wonderful daughters, quite an age range. My oldest being 37, Emma. My middle one being 19, and my youngest daughter being 13. But I couldn't ask for 3 better daughters and supportive daughters. I have been, since coming out, doing a lot of speaking at diversity meetings and some LGBT events, and my 13-year-old daughter has been coming along and also doing a little bit of speaking. She's amazed me how her knowledge of the situation and what she's read up on it. And this is something all my daughters have done, and they've become so understanding. And my youngest daughter actually comes to my support group, because I still go to my support group, and she's become like a little bit of a celebrity, because a lot of, as you know yourself, with friends or people you've spoken to, one of the biggest fears we all have as trans women is the loss of our friends and our family. And quite a few of the girls in our support group have lost the support and the closeness of their children. And because my daughters are so close, they've been getting my daughters to sort of speak to their children. So it's been very good for my children because they're involved in my transitioning from day one all the way through. They're not finding out about it at different stages or hearing different things. They're actually there, and when I see the doctor and the doctor tells me something, one of the first things I do is phone my girls up if I'm not with them, and I tell them everything. My 37-year-old daughter has been with me on every part of my journey. She was with me when I had my first facial surgery in Spain in 2013. She was with me in Belgium when I had my second set of facial surgery in November 2014. And she was with me when I had my 4-hour consultation with my surgeon that's going to do the final operation. And they've all met my counsellors as well. And they've spoken to my counsellors.
Wow. So you've got the love and support of your daughters. And I mean, I know the support from family and friends is so huge in a trans person's growth and well-being and successful transition. As you know, there's the horror stories of family shunning their loved ones. And do you think you could have done it without the support of your daughters?
I had to say I was mentally preparing myself for the loss of the love of my daughters. And again, I was going to just give them, one of my counsellors told me, you have to expect that your daughters and your family may disown you, but you would have to give them time, because what they have to do is grieve the loss of their dad and get to know the new person, which will be Kellie, and come to accept her. But all three of my daughters said the same thing. How can we grieve the loss of our dad? Our dad isn't dead. Our dad is just modifying his body to prepare himself for his new life. And I was amazed how they done it. They actually refer to me as their dad in a frock now, or their dad in a dress. And you know what? That's what helps them. And they call me dad still, and they call me dad in public, even if we're out. And it's something I've never said don't do, because I think it helps them understand. And they don't get embarrassed by it, and I don't get embarrassed by it. Well, I know a couple of trans people, they actually get embarrassed that they're called dad when they're out and they're in female mode. Well, it doesn't, as I say, it goes back to the issue earlier where you said being misgendered. I'm always going to be their dad, no matter what my gender is, because I'm the father or the person that helped create these beautiful children. So I have to accept that role. And if they're comfortable with calling me dad in my new gender, I'm happy for them to do that, because it keeps that bond and it keeps that love between us there.
Yeah. Wow. It's just so amazing to hear you talk about your relationship as a parent, as a dad, as a trans woman with your daughters, whom sound so wonderful that they're in your life and support you. And this is also kind of a personal subject to me as well. My dad is trans himself, and I've talked with my dad about what gender pronouns to use and what whether I can still call him dad or whatever. But he said pretty much the same thing that you're saying here, that he'll always be my dad, and there's no shame in that at all because of the love we have between, parent and child,
Yeah.
And so
I think look, we all deal with things in our own way and in different ways. I'm not saying my way is the right way, and I'm not saying someone else's is who doesn't want who doesn't mind being called dad in private, who doesn't want to be called dad in public because they don't want the rest of society to know that they were formerly a man. I'm not saying they're wrong or they're right either. It is the choice of the individual. I mean, just before Christmas, I took my youngest daughter to New York, and she really enjoyed it. And we were coming back through customs, and obviously I've had all my paperwork done, so my passport now reads, and I've taken my mother's maiden name out of respect to my mother on all my documents. And as we came through the customs in Britain, coming back into the UK, we gave our passports into the, security check, the borders, and the officer looked at them and he went, Libby Maloney, Kellie, said my surname, and he went, looks at me and looks at her. He went, excuse me, what relationship are you to this young girl? Because they're always dubious when they see an adult travelling with a young girl. I went, I'm actually her father. Well, you should have saw the look on his face. It was hilarious. And my daughter turned around and went to him, that's my dad. And he just said, oh, okay. And gave us the passport and said, good luck. And we just walked through.
Gotta love these trans interactions and trans stories. Just blowing people's minds one person at a time.
When we went on the other side, my daughter went, she just looked at him and she went, do you know what? I love it when that happens. You can did you see that man's face? And she was just laughing. And I thought, you know what? And she went, it's funny, just them sort of things. That's really what makes this all interesting, Dad. And I thought, that's the mischief side.
Right. Well, it takes a certain level of confidence to be a place where you're okay with that, and just kind of a beautiful and brutal honesty with who you are and who you feel to be, and just no shame. That's my takeaway from this.
Yeah, I think it's, yes, I agree with you on that, and it's what I said earlier. You have to come to terms with your self, and you have to accept your previous life, because your previous life has helped develop the person and the personality you are now.
Absolutely. And that raises kind of another question for me here. It's a lot of trans women kind of they do a purging once they transition. They burn all their pictures with them as quote unquote a boy, and they refuse to hear the old name and everything. But it sounds like from what you're saying here that you are who you are today. If you hadn't spent your life in this other identity, you're still you.
Yeah, I'm me. I said earlier, I see myself as a woman, as a human being, and that's what I want society to accept me as. I mean, I look on my wall here in my apartment, and I've got pictures of my family, I've got pictures of myself, and I've got pictures of myself as in my male mode with my daughters, as well as pictures of myself in my presence mode with my daughters, and I see no shame of it. I look at, and I've got a couple of my great achievements in boxing on the wall, because that I can't run away from that life. For a long time I was that person, and now I've got the courage to admit who I really am, but I can't deny the person I was previously.
No, I completely understand. My co-host and I, we actually we have pictures of our boy selves in our phone, and we love to show them off. We'd be like, hey, you know, this is what I looked like when I was a boy, and it's just kind of a reminder of, you know, where we've come from and how far we've gone. And so
I agree. But I prefer the pictures of myself as Kelly because I think I'm better looking.
I think so too.
If not, I'd want to shoot in surgeons that operated on me.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show. LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaya Kramer, and I am joined as always with my co-host, Mandy Howard. You've been listening to a pre-recorded interview with Kellie Maloney, former UK boxing promoter for Lennox Lewis, undisputed heavyweight boxing champion of the world.
Lennox Lewis, not Kelly.
Yes. Yeah. Lennox Lewis. Kelly was a pretty good boxer as well, but
yeah.
But she...
So far, it's a great interview. It's really good.
Yeah. And it's just part of our series because last week we played an interview with Fallon Fox, first transgender MMA fighter. And we're about to go here for a quick little word from our sponsors and play our station ID and all that stuff. But if you're interested in this show plays every Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. on KBBF 89.1 FM. And every Tuesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. on KBBF as well. But we do a live video stream of the show on thequeerlife.org. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/thequeerliferadio. And follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thequeerlife, and tweet us at thequeerlife. We'll send out all the updates, you know, fairly regularly, but not we won't overly tweet you. We won't, you know, overly fill up your Facebook inbox. I know how crazy Facebook's getting these days.
Message.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, unless you're boo-doo-boo, if you have an iPhone.
Oh, is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like here. But it's pretty interesting. We usually have live episodes of this, or live interviews rather.
Yeah, well, you know, for the bigger people, especially because a lot of the people we want to talk to don't live in the area or can't make it out this way. So obviously doing it pre-recorded is a good idea if we can't get them on the air at the same time, you know. But yeah, it'd be great if we could do a few of them live. So
yeah, just technological issues or time differences or
it's not always easy to the logistics is really hard sometimes. So, but you know, as long as we can get there we go.
Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM Calistoga, Santa Rosa, la voz de tu comunidad.
Not driving anymore? If you have a member of the family that isn't driving anymore, have them donate their vehicle with KBBF. We'll arrange for free pickup even if they don't live in the Bay Area. We can arrange for pickup anywhere in the country. Donating is easy. Just call 877-411-3662 and our friendly staff will make all of the arrangements. Call 877-411-3662 or donate online at kbbf.fm.org.
Protéjase del melanoma o cáncer de la piel a causa de la exposición excesiva a los rayos solares. Evite permanecer demasiado tiempo expuesto al sol. Y si lo hace, protéjase la piel con cremas que bloquean los rayos ultravioletas del sol y ropa que le cubra la mayor parte de la piel. No se arriesgue a contraer melanoma, una enfermedad que anualmente se diagnostica en 50,000 personas en Estados Unidos. Mensaje de la Universidad de California.
El sol brilla y el aire fluye con buena información a través de la frecuencia modulada de KBBF 89.1.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show. LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaya Kramer, and joined, as always, with my co-host, Mandy Howards.
So, our before we went on a break, you and Kellie Maloney were talking about showing pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
Old pictures. We're always showing off our old boy pictures.
Yeah, all that.
Well, I'm about to stop it.
You're about to stop it. Why?
I'm kind of done with it.
You're cutting off?
I'm cutting it off.
Cutting you off?
Well, literally. Well, I'm not. Yeah, well, after my gender confirmation surgery in 45 days, by the way. Wait, do they like just hack it off? Yeah, I think it's actually more clippers. Yeah, very delicate process. It's like surgical.
Is it true that you just cut it off? Women's vagina.
This is true. There's buried underneath everything.
It's kind of like a treasure.
No, none of that is actually true.
Right.
We're being, I don't know, weird.
It's facetious is the word.
Facetious, yeah.
Facetious. Facetious.
No, I think after my surgery, I think I'm done with that part of my life, with reminiscing about that part of my life and telling people about that part of my life, because that part's done, that's gone, it's over with, and I need to let it go.
Why's that?
It's just unhealthy for me to continue to dip my toes back into those waters constantly when all I want to do is get out. So it's unhealthy for me to do it.
So so looking at that and sharing that is going back for you.
It is.
Okay.
Because as I've gone forward through my transition, my connection, emotional connection, my memory of who I was as a boy is disappearing. I remember the things that I did as a child, but I don't remember being a boy.
Right.
It's weird. It's like, I know I was.
Right.
Logically, I know I was.
Or at least presenting as,
but I don't remember being one. I don't even remember presenting as one, really.
Right.
It's just weird. It's like I remember doing all these things, but I don't know what I was at that point. And so that kind of tells me that, it's just something I need to let it go so I can fully evolve into who I am as a woman.
Right.
So, and unless I let that go, it's going to be impossible.
Why is this a big deal? Especially to a lot of our cis listeners out there.
Well, it's a big deal, like especially when you're talking to a trans woman or trans man and you're asking to see pictures of what they look like before they transitioned. It's kind of like asking if somebody who's a recovering drug addict or who is homeless, and you ask them, "Oh, can I see some pictures of the worst moments of your life?" That would be cool if I could see how far you've come.
Yeah.
And so the argument, when you put it that way, it becomes pretty clear that what you're asking the trans person is for them to show you as a cis person, for the trans person to show you some of the worst parts of their own life. And some people like us, we've been willing to share that because we feel it teaches others and we feel it informs. But at some point, I need to stop worrying about teaching other people and start worrying about taking care of myself and my own psyche. So, yeah, I mean.
Well, there it is. And again, we were bringing this up because in the interview with Kellie, we're going to be playing the last little bit of it here just in a moment. We were talking about how she would about the idea of keeping old pictures of ourselves as we were presenting as males.
Yeah.
Since we are trans women, we are transgender women, transsexual women, which is we defined all those terms in previous episodes, but you can check that out on the first episode of the Queer Life on the queerlife.org. We have that all on there. But when I asked Kellie in the interview, do you have any old pictures? And she said, yeah, I do, but I look better now.
Yeah, well,
and
I think we all look better now.
Exactly. Yes.
And not only do we look better now just because we're trying to look pretty or we're trying to look better in general, just aesthetic wise, but it's because you're happy finally being who you are and looking the way you do. In other words, before that, you weren't happy, so you didn't radiate the same fabulousness. You know, now that we're out, you radiate a little bit more. You stand prouder. You know, you're much more in tune with who you are.
Right.
And that shows through your pictures. That shows in conversations when people talk with you, when they look at you or meet you in person, they can see that you're happier, and that makes you more attractive.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to be playing the rest of the interview with Kellie F. Maloney, former UK boxing promoter.
Was that a sound effect?
Yeah. Came out as a trans woman within the last couple of years. And after that, we will be going over some current events. So, just a kind of quick rundown of what the articles are. Article from Trans Anarchism, Not Your Mom's Trans 101, followed by an article from everydayfeminism.com, 6 reasons why being called a cis person is not oppressive, followed by from huffingtonpost.com, 16 questions for men that reveal the casual sexism women experience every day. Next article from advocate.com, petition for Leela's Law banning conversion therapy heads to White House. If we can get to it.
Yeah.
Unpacking the public bathroom debate for cis people, why bathroom access needs to be safe for people of all genders, and if we can get to it, transgender woman denied restroom access in Balboa Park. So,
I'm going to say we're not going to get through half that.
Yeah, I'm going to say that too.
We'll get to the first 2 at least.
Right. Which is okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll have more stuff to talk about next week.
Yeah, and all the links will be made available on thequeerlife.org. So continue listening. Enjoy the last legs of the interview with Kellie F. Maloney, former UK boxing promoter, trans woman. Amazing stuff. Stay tuned. Absolutely incredible. So wonderful and beautiful. On our show, we've kind of defined what it is to be trans, what it is to be trans woman, what it is to be treated as women. Kind of like just for like a cultural shift. Like what's it like for you? All of a sudden, being seen as and treated as a woman, because I know for one, like men and women are certainly being treated differently, and oftentimes women don't get the same respect that men do. What's been your response to that?
Yeah, I actually think I prefer going out with my female friends, where you sit down and you have lunch or you have a dinner group. The bill comes, you share it. You go out with your male friends, and it's like a fight over who's going to pay the bill. So okay, John will pay the bill. So George will say, okay, well, I'll buy another bottle of champagne. It's with men, it's very ego drives them. Who's got the biggest car in the car park? Who's got the best looking wife on their arm? Even as far as men are driven by their testosterone, aren't they? So they are always they are always louder. They're always going to be more brash. I find it much more relaxing going out with a group of girls. You sit there, you talk about your family, you talk about maybe going shopping. You may pass a comment on another woman that's what and go, well, that dress doesn't suit her. I wonder if it would suit me. It's true that that book, isn't it? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I actually, because I'm one of the very lucky few people in the world that have actually lived in both genders, like yourself, you can understand that, and we probably have a better understanding how the human mind works than most people do. I was on a holiday with a couple of girlfriends, and we went out and we were sitting down in a bar, and there was a group of guys on the table, about a few guys, and I went to the girls, this is what's going to happen. And every word I came out with, it happened. First came over from the waiter came over and said, oh, girls, would you like a drink? And just pointed, the guys over there are going to and we said thank you, and we took the drink. Then all of a sudden, one of the guys came over and he sat on the table. And when we didn't tell him to go, the other three guys came over and joined the table. And then, like, it was on a full alert for them to try and chat us up and get us back to their hotel. And eventually, when they realised there wasn't anything to get anywhere, they got up and went. And the other two girls looked at me and went, Kelly, how did you know that was going to happen? You know, you got it to a T. I went, you have to remember, I used to be one of that firm. And they went, oh, you've got to come out with us more often. It's great. You know, we're prepared for what's going to happen.
Oh, gosh. It's so funny that you bring up that story because I know myself and a lot of other trans people, we can relate to it. You know, we've seen both sides of the fence here, and
I describe it to my friends as the hunter has now become the hunted, and that's what it is. You know, I remember the first time I walked into a club with a group of girls, I felt so insecure, so intimidated, because you just felt the men's eyes just burning through you. And I thought, God, I must have been like that at one time to hide my gender issue. It's just a natural thing. Men are hunters, aren't they? I know I know there are very successful women out there, and but most women, most men, the role for them is to go out and be the hunter-gatherer, where for the woman it is to provide the care and the love a family needs. And I think that's the difference. You know, even if a woman is successful in a chosen field, she still is the mother figure of that household that keeps the household together and provides that love and care and tenderness that every family needs. And that's the big difference between, I believe, between the genders.
Yeah. Well, it's really incredible that you bring up the idea that we've got this unique perspective. It makes me think of when I went to see Laverne Cox when she came to San Francisco. She said that we as trans people, we are anointed. We are given this unique perspective on the world where we've seen things that many cis men and women have not seen or are privy to. And so it sounds like you're saying the same thing. We have this, you know, such a special knowledge, and it's, you know, in many ways something to be celebrated. So getting this acceptance, and all of a sudden you're now, you know, one of the girls and spending time, do you think that was important for your growth as a woman?
Yeah, it's really very important. It was the one thing I wanted more than anything, to be accepted. You know, not just to be accepted by other women, but to be accepted by society as a female, and to be seen to be a female in society. I didn't want to be seen to be anything other than that. It was. I think it was probably my biggest concern when it first became publicly known about my gender issue.
You know, you talk about, you know, feeling the male gaze. Did you ever, at any point when you were presenting as male, think that you'd ever be on the opposite end of receiving that male gaze and understanding what that would feel like?
Yes and no. I always knew that I was a woman inside. You know, that I had my gender should have been a female, but I always fought it. And I fought because of the way I lived, because of the family I had around me, that I would overcome it and I would fight it to the end. But what I didn't realise I was doing to myself, I was making myself very unhappy, making myself very insecure, and I was also hurting the people that were the most important people to me, like my children and my ex-wife and my mother.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, so by being honest with yourself, you can be a better family member, friends, and parents, you're saying?
I really do believe that, yes, because now, even my children say, I read an article my 19-year-old daughter done, and she went, I know this sounds silly, she said, but I actually prefer my dad as a woman because he's more friendly, he smiles a lot more, and he's so much more easier to be around, and we can go shopping together.
Absolutely. Well, it's just so beautiful that your connection with your daughters has just grown. Do you think? I always like to ask what your emotional and well-being response is to getting on the hormone replacement therapy, getting on estrogen and blockers and all that. How did you respond to that?
I think quite well. I've noticed because I go to the gym quite regular, I'm not able to work out as much as at the same intensity I used to. I've had to change quite a few exercises. I've noticed a shift in certain aspects of my body changing. I eat more sweet things, and and I'm prone to putting on weight a lot quicker than I ever was before. So I have to do a lot more cardio than as against strength training.
Yeah, isn't that funny? All of a sudden, it's just like, oh my gosh, things are starting to get a little bit heavier.
I know it's actually, and I'm much more conscious of my appearance, and I take a lot longer to get ready to go out.
Just like any other woman.
Yes, if I try on one dress, I try on 3 dresses, and I'm matching with my shoes and my bags before I even go. My daughter said today, she said, "Oh, sometimes I wish you were still Frank because you're taking so long to get ready." we were going out today because my young daughter goes back to school tomorrow, and I promised I'd take her uptown today. And we missed the first train because I wasn't ready in time.
Jeez, Kelly, hurry up! We're gonna be late.
That's exactly what she was saying.
No, that's it's no more getting ready in 10 minutes. Shower. Smell your shirt to see if it smells clean and put it on and go.
I know it's also changed, but you know what? It's nicer because you take more pride over your appearance. And you want to look good when you go out. You want to look good for yourself more so than looking good for people out there. If you understand what, I hope the women out understand what I mean. I'm not saying you try to make yourself look like a sex object, but it's just something about you look in that mirror and something looks back at it and you think to yourself, I really do feel good tonight. I really look good. And I'm going to go out and enjoy myself. And it gives you that confidence. Where a guy, you put on a pair of jeans and a jacket and say, oh, they don't care. I'm not worried what I look like. If they don't like it, they can lump it. But you don't do that as a woman. You sort of want to go there and you want people to respect you and look at you in the way where you feel they're admiring you, I think. That's me anyway. And maybe it's because I'm a little bit vain as well.
Well, there's certainly nothing wrong in wanting to, create outfits in terms of your own expression and your own sense of who you are as not only as a woman but as a person.
Yes.
And clothes and the way you dress are a wonderful way to express that. I'm guilty of that myself too, so I understand. I've had to make quite a few people wait for me, so. But no, absolutely incredible. Had you on for a little bit here. I wanted to kind of ask you about, there was the quote unquote allegations of, homophobia, racism, and then you followed up and you made a response to that with LGBTQ magazine EQ View, and sort of, made a rebuttal, and you said, quote, "I accept comments I made in the past were wrong. If you knew me before, if you knew Frank Maloney, if you were there when I made those remarks, you have seen the smirk on my face. I knew it was wrong, but I was saying it in jest. It was a mistake." And my question is, why do you think you said those, perceivedly, homophobic comments before in the past? What?
Well, one, I'm not a politician, so I don't. I'm a boxing promoter, and if you know boxing promoters, especially old school boxing promoters, which I see myself as, or saw myself as, your job is to keep yourself out in the limelight. Your job is to draw attention so that people will bite on every word you say. And you say some of the most outrageous things, knowing that if you're talking to sports reporters, you could say, "Oh, I said that, and that was wrong to say that. I meant this." And the sports reporters will take the second comment and not the original comment. They will accept your excuse. When I said that, I looked at the journalist and I went, "I shouldn't have said that. That remark was wrong. Please don't use it." Now, that was my naivety. He was a news journalist, which is a completely different breed to sports journalists. And before I knew where it was all over every national newspaper in Britain, over every website. And I've been condemned ever since to live with the title that I'm homophobic. And I have to accept I made a terrible mistake in saying that. And, if I hurt people, I apologise. But again, time has to be a great healer. And I feel if people can't forgive me for them comments, well, they're as bad as me for making them comments, because life is about forgiving and forgetting and moving on and developing. And I have developed as a person. And even if I was to go back into boxing, I would think a lot more before I open my mouth. Frank's mouth would open before his brain went into gear. Frank gives Kelly's brain goes into gear, then her mouth follows.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Here you are, well known for your career and your profession, and it basically anything you say will be held and used against you here. But here you are, talking with me, and the San Francisco Bay Area, and saying and that this was a mistake, and we've all made mistakes in terms of the things that we've said, and we cannot, and what I've learned in the past is we cannot be defined by one singular moment and things that we've said, especially if we've made efforts to move forward. And would you say that the person you are now, Kelly, is different from the person you were before, Frank, that you've grown and changed?
Yes, I really do think that, because I am really the real person now. Before, as I said, I was an actor that was on stage. I was living a lie. And if I'm honest, I didn't care what I said or who I hurt. I own up to that. Now, I do care in what I say, and I do care if I hurt anyone, because I've heard so many stories from other trans women, how they've been hurt, how they've been upset. I've heard where I've been at diversity meetings from people from the gay community, and I think, you know what, no one deserves that. We're all human beings. we should all learn to respect each other, all learn to live together, and all learn to get on together. And that's really what I hope that will happen in time. Maybe not in my lifetime, I won't live to see it, but I hope in the future, with people like myself, people like you, people like Paris Lee in this country, people like the actress you mentioned earlier, Eve, so I forget her surname.
Laverne Cox, yeah.
Yes, it's Cox. People like these are helping the next generation of trans people to actually, that they can just go out and walk down the street and no one will ever blink an eyelid. They will just be accepted in society as a human being. And that is really my wish and my dream.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And
I mean, and the reason I think like that is, not long ago, a young girl sent a letter to one of my daughters. I don't know how she got. Oh, I know how she got my daughters. She got it through my management company, and she sent a letter saying, "I'd like to introduce myself. I am so and so. My father was very much like your father. Was going through transitioning. Was coming out as a woman, but unfortunately, her friends wouldn't accept her. She felt she was shunned by society. She lost her work, and in April this year, 2014, she took her own life. And reading something at my dad's funeral. But thankfully, my dad has managed to stay strong and pull through it. And our heart and my family's heart go out to you. And since we've all become very good friends since then, and we meet and talk on a regular basis. And this girl who lost her father has also helped me develop, but it's also made me see the other side of someone that's not been as fortunate as I've been.
Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM, Radio Cultura.
What up, y'all? This is DJ Broken Record. Make sure to tune in to the Broken Record Radio Show here on KBBF 89.1 FM in the North Bay. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. to hear dance music from all over the world. News, current events, interviews, and exclusive tracks and mixes from producers and DJs from around the globe. Broken Record Radio Show, Monday nights at 9 on KBBF 89.1 FM.
This is Edward James Olmos. Did you know that today 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic? That means many of the future doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net. Brought to you by the Hispanic Scholarship Fund and the Ad Council.
Niños como yo escuchan KBBF 89.1 FM, la voz de tu comunidad, porque es divertida.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. And we are just finishing up interview with Kellie F. Maloney. So continue listening. If you have any questions at all, first feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. Thanks so much for listening.
possibly could happen to you. And that's one of the reasons why I had this wish and desire that, you know, we can, the work we are doing now can help pave the way for future generations of trans people to be just accepted in society and no one blinks an eyelid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have certainly put yourself out there. You have this platform as a result of your incredible career and profession, and you've sort of been vaulted into the limelight as sort of an LGBT voice. Did you ever think that you would be speaking and promoting and, you know, furthering the trans activist rights cause?
No, I never. And I never set out to do that. And I still don't. I really just think I'm being myself and speaking of the things that mean something to me. Because I believe you have to speak from the heart and not from a textbook like politicians do.
Right. It's I love hearing from you and nearly every single other trans woman or trans man that I've encountered. You know, when people say, oh gosh, you know, Kaya, you're so brave, Kelly, you're so brave, and I hear you say, it's not going out there and trying to do anything, it's just being yourself.
Yeah, it's not about being brave. I don't think it is about being brave. It's a matter of necessity. If you don't do this and you don't follow your not even your dream, if you don't follow who you are and come to terms with it, you know it can only end up two ways. You either take your own life or you live a very unhappy life. And if you live a very unhappy life, it affects everyone around you.
Absolutely. Kelly, I think we are just about out of time here. We have really kind of dived in to, you know, aspects of you as a trans woman, as, you know, first and foremost a woman, and, you know, your professional career in the boxing community. At some point, maybe we got to have you again on another time, but we are just about out of time here. Kelly, I want to thank you so much for giving the Queer Life Radio Show and the San Francisco Bay Area and the world your voice, and just being you and showing others that you can come out and be happy and be confident and be yourself.
I thank you for the opportunity, and I would love to come back in a little while's time and see how my life has gone forward and what's happened to Kelly.
Absolutely. And so I know in March we'll certainly be sending our happy birthdays. If we're in the area, we'll have to stop by and say hey. And you're certainly welcome to come out here to Sonoma County and join us here in the wine country as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, this is Kaya Kramer, host of the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT News, Modern Perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews on KBBF 89.1 every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. This interview will air live Friday, January 23rd. So follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us. All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kellie F. Maloney, former UK boxing promoter. And that was some pretty incredible stuff. So I'm really happy that we finally were able to interview it live. And if you'd like to check out that interview, the full interview, you can go to thequeerlife.org. That will be made archived on the website on thequeerlife.org within the next 24 hours. And so I just want to dive in, because we don't have very much time left, into our like news section of the show. And as a trans woman, me, your host, Kaya Kramer, with my co-host Mandy Howard, we're both trans women, And a lot of times there's discussions about how we fit into the female community, cis women, cisgender women, and how feminism affects us, and what our role is in terms of speaking about feminism, and also about how sexism affects us, and how sexism affects cis women. So there's a lot of parallels. We don't experience the exact same things that cis women experience, but we experience a lot of them.
Oh yeah, no, we we pretty much get all at once. After you come out, you experience quite a bit of sexism, just in general, and of course transphobia, or what I prefer to call transmisogyny.
Transmisogyny.
Which is coined by Julia Serrano, author of The Whipping Girl. It fits what we go through better than just simple transphobia.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know what the word misogyny means, I just pulled up the dictionary definition. Misogyny means it's a noun, dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. So used in a sentence.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this article is from HuffingtonPost.com. And it's called 16 Questions from Men That Reveal the Casual Sexism Women Experience Every Day. So I'm going to go through it real quick here.
Some of these are pretty good.
Yeah. We'll kind of discuss it point by point.
So the idea behind these, before you get going, is that these are questions that you're asking men that are actually, in fact, common questions or common comments that women receive.
Right. So
just to show you how ridiculous it actually sounds, Okay.
Sexism can be hard to point out when it's so ingrained in our everyday lives. Clementine Ford, however, found an awesome way to highlight casual sexism with a simple hashtag. Ford, a columnist for Daily Life Australian, took to Twitter on February 2nd to ask a pointed question about the sexism she faces at work. Question to the male writers, speakers, etc. out there: is it common for you to be called an attention seeker, or do just women get that? So what is it? If you're a woman and you're outspoken, does that mean you're trying to get attention?
you're trying to get attention or whatever. Like they in other words, you would never say that to a guy. That's the whole point of this that's the whole point of this entire post, is you would never actually say that to a man.
Right.
You would never call a man an attention seeker, but they do it for women. So it's kind of like it basically demonstrates how that's backwards, basically,
right.
And how ridiculous it actually is.
Second one, hashtag questions for men. When you have a hostile disagreement with someone, is it common for them to say you're angry because no one will have sex with you?
Wow.
I don't ever remember hearing that when I was presenting male.
Yeah, well, as a guy, obviously, you don't hear those kind of things.
The tweet and hashtag inspired other women on social media to pose their own hashtag questions for men. As smart feminist hashtags often do, hashtag questions for men quickly picked up steam. Conversations ranged from how women need to approach their careers differently than men to worrying about the dangers of walking home too late and the fact that the government still has some control over women's bodies. Both women and men began tweeting the hashtag with their own questions about catcalling, sexual harassment, and other issues women are forced to deal with on a daily basis. Here are 16 of our favorite hashtag questions for men tweets. Have you ever been told your business ideas are cute? Hashtag questions for men.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'd feel pretty insulted if somebody said that.
I know. Oh my God. Yeah. That's so cute what you're doing. I love it.
Wow. What a cute idea. What a great little idea.
I'm so proud of you.
So, wow.
It's just so cute. It's amazing.
Yeah. That was from @Ella on February 4th. Hashtag questions for men. Are you comfy with the federal government and Christian conservatives holding decision-making parties in your / quote-unquote boy parts? So it was kind of awkward to read out loud. Let me read that again.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with the governments and Christians holding decision making decisions about your genitals.
So basically,
Yeah.
in other words, as a man, would you be comfortable with the government regulating what you can do with your body?
Yeah,
Or what you can't do with
and
your body?
And this Heather here, she is referencing. I think she's referencing
Abortion.
Abortion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most likely.
So
The government basically is telling women that they, as the government, and that the people in general have the right to vote on what women get to do with their bodies. In other words, women lose free agency over their own body.
Yeah, what if guys started to get regulated for the amount of sperm that they could put out?
Yeah,
yeah.
They get counted on the way out, and you get taxed on it, I guess.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Hashtag questions for men. Do you walk home with your keys placed in between your fingers? Are you constantly looking over your shoulder?
Yeah, obviously that's, talking about the fact that a lot of women are afraid when they're out walking alone or walking in between, wherever they're coming from to their car in an empty parking lot. There's that fear of being exposed. And I can definitely say, having transitioned, when you're walking alone or whatever, and you got your heels on, you got a skirt or whatever you're wearing,
right,
all of a sudden I do feel very exposed as a woman.
Right.
There is that there, but I can definitely say as a guy that, those, I didn't really think that way. So most
nobody
guys don't.
really looks at you that way.
Nobody looks at you
not as much.
Nobody looks at you as much, and sadly, a lot of predators identify women as potential victims over other men.
Right.
Because women provide less of a challenge when it comes to aggressive behavior.
Right.
So at least that's the way they're perceived. Not that they actually do, but predators tend to go to what they feel are called soft targets.
Right. And a lot of, and I'm sure a lot of you listeners out there are thinking, okay, well, you transgender women, what's the big deal? You have quote unquote the strength of a man. Well, if you've been listening to the last interview,
many interviews.
Yeah. The strength of a man argument is kind of out the window there.
Yeah, it's done. That we don't have the same type of strength that we had before. And on top of that, simply transitioning, even if people believe that we're still pretty strong, the perception is out there that when you're transitioning to female, the perception is from the cis community that you're becoming weak, that you're sissy,
Right.
The sissy boy, right?
Right.
So their perception is that you're weak just because you're being female, and which is why it's trans misogyny and not just transphobia, because it's taking the perception they have of women and then putting it onto us as well.
Right.
And the perception is that women are't So that's why it's trans misogyny, not just transphobia.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is hashtag questions for men. How often do you have to fake laugh at stupid / cringy / creepy / sexist things men say regarding you?
Like never, right?
Yeah. Just because you're like, that's a trippy one. Yeah, I've certainly noticed that
because men especially tend to make a lot of inappropriate comments at work or just in general, or like the catcalling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they feel entitled to do it for some reason. I mean, it's hard for us to actually speak about what goes through men's heads, even though we were raised as boys, as men.
Right.
We don't think like they do. So as far as their perspective on why they do those things, I don't really have much to say on that.
Yeah.
Other than my perception of why they do it.
Yeah, that's a pretty trippy one. I know for certain that I didn't get that experience when I was presenting male.
No.
Yeah, and it doesn't come off as creepy, when you're presenting male and somebody says something like it just doesn't really happen.
No.
But then again, that's my perspective. Hashtag questions for men. Have you ever been late to work because you've had to change streets 5 times in 5 minutes to avoid being catcalled by women?
In other words, have men had to
Yeah.
do that because they're being catcalled by women?
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah.
Didn't they have a few videos recently of a girl walking down the streets of New York? Actually,
Yeah.
several different videos from different girls, actually. So not
Right.
just a few of them were found out to be fakes.
Right.
But many of them were real, and they're taking you into the life of your average woman walking down the street, and the fact that they get catcalled all over the place. So a lot of the girls will actually switch streets or go down different streets just to try to avoid being catcalled on their way to work or wherever they're going.
Yeah. Hashtag questions for men. Do women jump into your face calling you fat, ugly, or that you quote unquote should get raped for expressing an opinion online?
Yeah. What they're talking about is the people who troll women, especially feminists.
Right.
Basically saying that the only reason you're a feminist is because you're ugly and all this other stuff, and you just need to get laid or get raped or whatever, and then you won't have these same views. And it's usually, I'm guessing, I don't know the type of people who write these things online, but they do exist out there, and we do get that as trans women as well. We get those kind of people who make those comments towards us as well. So obviously, you're not going to get that as a guy.
Hashtag questions for men. When out having a few beers, have you ever said no to a woman and then been hassled by her for the rest of the night? Now, I know there's probably a couple guys out there that are saying, well, yeah, that's happened to me. This is just a generality. These are,
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened, but it's I would assume it's very rare for a woman to behave that way in a bar.
Right.
It's not impossible. It can happen. But I've never seen it happen. But all the time, no matter how many times you say no to a guy, he's going to keep trying to come at you as long as you're still in the same club together. And in some cases, they'll even follow you to another club when you leave and go somewhere else. Because in their heads, if they could just, if they could just say the right thing,
right,
or get at you from the right angle, you're
going
to be like, oh, yeah, she's going to change her mind. She wants me. She's just playing hard to get, because they were all taught that women play hard to get, which is not true, I don't think.
Right.
So that's all bull.
Hashtag questions for men. In a job interview, have you ever been asked how you will juggle work and home?
Well, as a guy, it's assumed that your wife's going to juggle home, right?
Right.
I mean, that traditionally,
you mothers out there,
your mom, right? Give it to grandma.
Yeah.
No, but obviously the assumption is always that women are the home takers, even if that woman still has a job on the outside. It's almost a given that she's expected to take care of the home. That's still very old machismo, kind of like misogynistic viewpoint.
Right. Hashtag questions for men. Do you get told you'll change your mind eventually when you say you don't want to have children?
Actually, I've been, when I was presenting Mel, I've actually been told that. That is something I have been told, because I used to have a lot of friends who were, we were getting older, and a lot of them were settling down, getting married, having kids. And they're like, don't you want kids someday? I'm like, no, I really don't want kids. I think you'll change your mind eventually. Yeah. So that one I can actually say I experienced when I was presenting Mel. Not that it's a common occurrence, just because I experienced it, but I don't believe it would be a common thing for somebody to say to a man. But they say it to girls because they assume girls have a natural instinct to want to have children, right?
Yeah.
And we can definitely say from talking to lots of women, and even trans women, not everybody wants to have kids.
Right.
And sometimes even if they do, they realize that there are much more important things that they want to do with their lives.
Right.
And reproducing is not always the most important thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Last one for the night. Hashtag questions for men. Do any men out there, has anyone not hired you on the basis of, quote, you're a man and you'll be having a family soon and need to devote time to that?
Yeah, I would almost guarantee that's never happened.
That has never happened.
I would put money on that to say that's never happened to a man.
To a man.
Ever.
Yeah. Anyway, so you have been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaya Kramer, and I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Mandy Howards.
Fake drinking water.
And if you've enjoyed this episode and you would like to listen to more, you can visit thequeerlife.org to reach all of our past episodes. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/thequeerliferadio, facebook.com/thequeerlife, Twitter @thequeerlife.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Kaya for doing such an amazing job, an amazing show, and also for doing it when she's feeling really down. She's sick right now.
So I'm about to go pass out.
You're about to go pass out. So you did an amazing job.
All right,
it's good.
All right, thanks so much, babe.
wait, how you know the Hobbit? Wait.
All right, very good. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of the Queer Life Radio Show. We're gonna play out here with a little bit of Radio Bilingue, and we'll prepare for some carranza after this. Please enjoy. Have a good night, and I hope you're all doing well. Take care.
Sin querer encontrarte y que me pregunte